Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. An escort stole my dogs and the cops won't help, so I hunted her down myself. So it all started on Sunday, May 26. I was flying back home from Texas, where I was at my girlfriend's sister's wedding. We had a layover in Vegas before our 1-hour flight back to Sacramento. I landed in Vegas and I got to the reception. That's when my roommates called me and told me how the door to our backyard gate was busted open and my beautiful husky wolf mix was missing. That dog is everything to me. She is 3 years old now and I've had her since she was 2 months old. She's been with me through all my breakup, my layoffs, and my evictions. She was my only friend when all the other friends believed the rumors my ex said about me. Anyways, she is gone and I get home to start doing the usual, putting up flyers offering a reward, notifying every shelter, vet, and her chip company of her disappearance. I put notices on every lost and found page and suddenly it starts to go viral on Facebook. A lot of people really wanted to help me find my dog and I had eyes everywhere. I woke up one day to a Craigslist ad with a picture of an unknown girl hugging my dog with the ad titled "Found Husky," sent to me by a friend of mine. So I contact the ad maker. The lady was nice and explained how she didn't find my dog, but a friend of hers on Instagram found her. She watched her pictures on Instagram and bragged about how the universe brought me this beautiful witch. She sent me screenshots of her Instagram and all the pictures she posted of my dog. She then tells me, I don't know her personally, but she is a fellow escort. It turns out the girl who has my dog is an escort. So she messaged the girl to tell her that she found the owner of the dog and she full deletes all the posts about my dog and blocks the ad maker. So I think, alright, this is already viral. Game on. I get all the people who have been searching, including my detective aunt, and we make a hunt. I file a police report and they are down to bust a chick, but I have to find where she is and holding my dog for them to do anything, which is pretty useless. I get people to start contacting one another. We found her legal name, all the addresses she is tied with, including her boyfriend, mom's stepdad, possibly dad and stepmom's information. We even found 2 warrants for her arrest. She was charged with petty theft, hit and run involving property damage, lying to a peace officer, and possession of contraband. After I found this information, including her being an escort, which is illegal where I'm from, we had her. I dug up all her information, including emails and phone numbers, with her escort phone number. So I call this woman to confront her and she starts yelling at me about how I'm harassing and threatening her. This is the first time I've ever talked to this woman, and how she was going to press charges on me. She then tells me she bought my dog from a shelter. She also told me which shelter 2 days prior. I confirmed that this wasn't true. Meanwhile, I'm gathering all the proof I have that this dog is mine, which is 3 years of time-stamped photos with me and the dog, and the chip information that my dog is registered with, and her being in my name with a chip company. She stole this and still refuses to give her back by saying, I'm afraid to give the dog back because the owner is threatening me, which I never did and have proof of that. So now, she's on blast on Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit as well. I'll provide more edits later. Update. So I'm not sure what more I can really do. The court fees to even try and get this witch is gonna break my bank in. I already spent over $1,000 trying to find my dog. Then even trying to find and serve her with a court may not work because the cops will only try 3 times before they say, well, you're on your own. and then I would have to hire a private investigator. I am not sure what to do besides blast her so hard this ends up on every news station and radio station in the Sacramento region. Update again. Oh boy. So check this out. The girl that stole my dog was with another girl when they found my dog. And boy does the blood thicken. They are both escorts. So the girl that stole my dog, let's call her Blonde Thief. And the girl she was with, we will call her Red-Haired Thief. Blonde Thief left for San Francisco to work. She came back home early to find her boyfriend was cheating on her with a red-haired thief. And it gets better, mate. Red-haired thief beat the blonde-haired thief, which involved the cops, and the public police report. The boyfriend was taken to jail for domestic violence, and so did the red-haired thief. Now that is public record, I looked up the incident. Sadly, there was no house address when I looked it up. I'll keep you updated. Final update. The red-haired contacted me and told me the blonde-haired thief took my dog to her dad's house. So I went detective mode and looked up who her dad is. I got his legal name on Facebook and phone number. I got a car with a beefy friend of mine and drive 1 hour to Valley Springs to where her dad lives. We pull up to the property and there is my dog running up to the fence to greet me. I open the gate and she tackles me. I put her in a car and call the cops. They arrive and do their best to get him to answer the door, but the police chalk it up to him not being home. They take my statement and I explain everything down to each fine detail, including the escort in question having a record. They said they will be catching him and I will be pressing charges for animal endangerment and grand theft. She will also be adding a third warrant on her record. So glad it's over. My dog is so happy to see me again every day. The next day I got a message from my friend. It turns out the thief sent her a message on Instagram about contacting the police over me harassing her. My friend then commented, "You do realize the owner came to your dad's house and took her dog back while the police watched it happen. She told the police she is pressing charges on you and they are coming for you. Enjoy jail." And the thief flipped. She started threatening my friend and saying she's gonna fight her before calling her names. Like, in all seriousness, hasn't she gotten beaten up enough this week? Next story. Hurt my daughter? Have a taste of your own medicine. This isn't my story really, but my grandma's. This story is pretty old, older than 30 years, but still funny as heck. So my mom, a teen at this time, did not have good taste in men and started dating this guy, let's call him Jim. He would seclude her from her friends and when she moved in with him, told her she couldn't leave his apartment. He then later broke her arm when she tried to contact my gram. He thought it was a good enough warning and went to work. My mom, on the other hand, walked to her childhood home, broken arm and all. To my mother's surprise, my grandma was calm, took her to the doctors, and told her that she's home now and tomorrow they could get her things from his apartment while he was at work. And they did just that. Although most of it was destroyed. What happened later was already planned out without my mother's knowledge. Later that week, my grandmother was invited to a big party by her friend Jessica. They were very close friends, worked together even. My grandmother showed up to this party, talked to everyone, got friendly, and then disappeared into the shadows. She emerged from the shadows by Jim's work, knowing he closed alone each night. She then proceeded to key his car, smash his headlights, and pop his tires. Did not take long for him to close and come out to find his beloved truck and my grandmother waiting for him. He threatened her and she retaliated by beating the heck out of him, ripping his leather coat, his shirt, and taking his keys while he tries to run from her. She quickly drives home, hides the evidence in the attic-like area, then makes her way back to the party and makes herself the center of attention. The next day rolls around, and 2 officers are at the front door, They are questioning her about whether she assaulted Jim, and she of course said no, and gave the police the names of most people at the party. With that time, some people couldn't remember where Graham was. Jessica piped in about Graham having been with her most of the night. My Graham is 5'2", and at this point, she was just a bit chunky. Looked like she couldn't hurt a fly. The police see she has an alibi and thank her for her time. And they leave. Never heard from Jim again. And my mother healed nicely. Jessica did not know what was going on but knew if the police were involved, then Graham would need an alibi. And that's what she gave her. Next story. My 8.5 pounds revenge on my cheating thieving ex. When I was at university, I started dating this guy. At first, he was wonderful, dedicated to his studies, fun to be around, attentive, and always surprising me with things, working hard at his job and so on. Then, bit by bit, things unraveled. He started skipping classes. Then he barely bothered to go at all. Or still, he never helped around the house, never washed up, cleaned up, did laundry, nothing. He was even fired from his job for too many no-shows. All he wanted to do was sit at home and play Xbox, or browse the message boards and forums. This was in the days before social media, when dinosaurs roamed the earth. This left me having to pick up extra shifts, sometimes double and triple shifts, all while going to class and studying. I later learned that this was a pattern for him. He'd be really dedicated to whatever he set his heart on, but then get bored and fall back into old bad habits. Then he'd find a new passion, and rinse and repeat. I knew I should have ended the relationship much sooner, but I held out hope that he would snap out of it. That maybe it was just exam stress getting to him. I desperately wanted things to go back to how they were, but it was not meant to be. I caught him cheating, and I threw him out. I was so stressed with everything that it wasn't until the next day that our joint savings account crossed my mind. There was a little over 5,000 pounds in there, and bar a few hundred from him. The rest was money I had saved. I checked the account, and it was all gone. My ex had cleared out the account and moved into a new flat with his side check. I called the bank and there was nothing they could do. He was authorized on the account. I contacted the police. They told me there was nothing they could do since it was a joint account, so nothing criminal had happened. They suggested taking it to civil court, but said I probably spent more money than I got back in legal fees, so it's likely was not worth it. My ex had stolen 5,000 pounds and there was nothing I could do about it. I felt like such an idiot. I got even angrier when I saw his posts on various forums posting about his new game consoles, new games, new TVs and gadgets, all bought with my money. I am not usually a vengeful person. Pity on occasion, sure, but I've never wanted to exact revenge as much as I did right then, and I knew just how to do it. While I was a student, I temped every summer to help pay for my studies. One such job had been for a debt collection agency. The work was as bad as you can imagine, but it paid really well, and it was only for a few months. My ex had been dodging debt for many years, and he was very proud of that fact. He was also proud of the fact that his debt was close to being statute barred, and he hadn't paid a penny. For those of you who don't know, in the UK, creditors have about 6 years to collect a debt, and then it becomes statute barred. That means the money is still owed, but creditors have no legal way to enforce payment, such as using bailiffs. My ex was a few months away from reaching statute barred status. However, what a lot of people don't know is that making a payment on that debt resets the clock. If you pay any amount, then that 6 years starts from scratch. Previously, I had used my insider knowledge to help him dodge the debt, and now I would use it to hit him where it hurt. By the end of our relationship, I was handling everything, including his debts. I had the paperwork, so I knew who he owed and how much. I called his creditors up. I was honest and said I was a friend calling to make a payment on his behalf. I didn't pretend to be him because that would be a big legal no-no. They weren't allowed to disclose any details, but they were able to take payment. I paid the minimum I could on each debt, about £1 on most. But one had a minimum payment of £1.5, and it was the best £8.5 I have ever spent. I also made sure to give them his new address and contact details, as well as his parents' address. Having worked in the biz, I knew they wouldn't change the address since I wasn't the account holder. But they would note it. They had various systems where they could search for his name against that address and see if anything came up. If they got a hit, they would change the address. That trap was hit, and all I had to do was wait. A few months rolled by and then it happened. His posts on the forums went from boasting about his new gaming PC to panic about a court date. He called me and begged for advice, and I told him to F off. Seeing I wouldn't help, he asked for advice in the forums. One of his online friends told him not to turn up to court. That way they wouldn't be able to prosecute with him there. It was terrible advice that was 100% untrue. In fact, not showing up is one of the worst things you can do, especially in civil court. This was getting better and better. The court date came and went. My ex naturally didn't go. Few weeks later, my ex posted photos of his empty flat. Bailiffs had cleaned him out and taken every last one of his shiny new gadgets and toys. On top of that, he ended up with several CZJs, county court judgments, and these are a big deal and can seriously damage your credit history, making it hard to get bank accounts outside of basic ones. Near impossible to get credit, including getting a mortgage. And it can also make it hard to rent a place, since many landlords do not like renting to people with CZJs, as they are considered high risk. He also won't be able to find jobs in the financial sector. Now that he was broke and did not have nice things, his side chick left him. I never got my 5k back, but it felt good to see everything he bought with his ill-gotten gains taken away. Hope that 5k is worth it. For anyone wondering how a student occurred 6 years of debt, he started at the university I attended when he was 25. He had initially gone to a different university at 18, but dropped out at the age of 19 and went into the world of work. Then he convinced his parents to fund a business degree. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. And for anyone worried about the age gap, I deferred my university start date by a few years so I could travel. I was 22 when we started dating, and he was 26. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.